everyone. Hello to everyone in the chat to our special 1-hour giving season session, Giving Tuesday Demystified. And I cannot believe how quickly Giving Tuesday is approaching. It's pretty wild. And year end, right? We are in the thick of it. And that's why we are here with you today and for the next few weeks. So here at Donorbox, we love sharing practical, actionable learning resources to keep you on top of all that's going on in this rapidly growing nonprofit sector. And that's something that you'll take away from each of our giving season sessions. You'll leave each session, including today's session, with something that you can do right away to put towards your year end and your Giving Tuesday plan. So again, I'm Jenna. I'm the nonprofit advocate here at Donorbox. And today I'm joined by Kara with a C, our fundraising coach here at Donorbox, and Kara with a K, our senior content writer here at Donorbox. Hello, hello.
Hey, it's so good to be here. Thank you, Jenna.
Hello. Yes, thank you, Jenna. Excited for this one.
Two favorite people here. I'm glad to have you with me. So again, today, it's so good to see all of you in the chat. Thank you for showing up. Week after week, we're seeing a lot of familiar names in the room today in preparation for the busiest fundraising season of the year. But if this is your first time joining us, you are in for a treat. We're really glad that you're here. As I mentioned, today's session is a special hour-long Ask Me Anything session dedicated to demystifying Giving Tuesday, which again is coming up very quickly. So when you registered, many of you submitted your Giving Tuesday questions to us. So we've been reviewing them all week. And today we're going to turn those questions into answers for you. And then we'll open up the floor to all of you for a live Q&A. And you can ask us anything Giving Tuesday and year-end fundraising related. So are we ready to get started? Let me know in the chat. All right, ready. I love it. All right, naturally, we are starting with a poll question. So we want to know what your organization's past participation in Giving Tuesday has looked like. Let me go ahead and launch that poll. And you should see that on the right-hand side now. So have you never participated in any way in Giving Tuesday? Maybe you've just taken the opportunity to post once or twice on your social channels. Or do you take it one step further and post a few times in the week or two surrounding Giving Tuesday to get your donors engaged? Or do you plan out a fully fledged and detailed Giving Tuesday campaign, either separately or as a part of your overarching year-end campaign that may include multiple social media posts, email outreach, and even more? So let us know. And feel free to drop a comment in the chat as well if none of these answers really fit you or if you've got something else to say. And we're seeing those responses coming in pretty quickly. Excellent. So we have the majority having not participated at all. So this is an exciting opportunity for us to talk to you about Giving Tuesday and possibly help you consider launching a campaign this year. The next after that, we see people posting once or twice on social media. Very few have a full-fledged campaign. Let's see. And what are people saying in the chat?
Good. Oh, Mary, I love this. Yes.
We do.
Mary does emails to donors, social posts the entire month of December. And this year she sent a postcard to her donor list. That's a great way to get everybody warmed up and ready to go. That's great.
I love that channel campaign. You know, I love those.
Oh yeah, that is Kara's jam. That is phenomenal. Thank you for sharing, Mary. And thanks everyone for your responses. All right, Kara with a K, I'm going to go ahead and pass it over to you.
Fantastic. Well, I'm so excited to have you all here today. I'm excited to introduce Giving Tuesday to some of you who have never posted before or maybe have only posted a little bit. So we're going to start with one of the most straightforward questions you guys asked. It was, what is Giving Tuesday? So Giving Tuesday, in short, is a global day of giving, and it's held on the Tuesday after U.S. Thanksgiving, so Thanksgiving in the United States. So it was actually started in 2012 in response to that retail-focused weekend here in the US that follows Thanksgiving. We have Black Friday, Small Business Saturday, Cyber Monday sales taking over. And Giving Tuesday really gives the world a chance to refocus on what is actually most important during the holiday season, and to all of us, right? Giving. So on Giving Tuesday, millions of people all around the world engage in changing the lives of others. So how do they do that? So yes, they do donate. They also volunteer at homeless shelters or other organizations. They organize food drives, fill community pantry shelves with donations of canned food, personal items, things like that. It's really just a great time for so many generous people to discover a local fundraiser or fundraiser in their area and give. And that's likely why you're here, right? So it's a great time to build momentum on this conversation that already exists. But before we move on, I do want to mention there's one common misperception. The Giving Tuesday team does not organize or distribute matching gifts. It's just all about creating that conversation, primarily in the digital space, to encourage more people to give to your organization. And next, we have another quick little quiz for you. So what do you think, true or false? Giving Tuesday is the time of year most organizations raise their largest percentage of donations. So what do you think, true or false? Oh,
look at everybody voting. You love this. It's like a horse race.
Oh my gosh, who's going to win? It's awesome.
All right, neat.
Looks like we're pretty close, but leaning more towards false. And those of you who said false would be correct. So I figured you might know this one, but I want to reinforce this. I know we've mentioned it. I know I've mentioned it when I've been in these giving season sessions, but many nonprofits really do focus most of their efforts on Giving Tuesday. And you should, I'm not saying you shouldn't, that's why we're here, but Giving Tuesday is actually not the biggest day of the year on donations. So taking a look at our next slide.
There we
go. Yeah, perfect. Shows that year-end giving statistics tell a different story. So we're actually looking at that Giving Tuesday is not the biggest day of the giving day of the year. It's often the kickoff to what people consider to be that year-end giving season. So take a look at this graph. It's a snapshot of this is the Donorbox specific organizations and what their year-end giving looked like last year in 2021. So you can see that a lot of organizations did raise money on Giving Tuesday. For sure, that's why you want to be in that conversation. But holy moly, look at those last few days of the year, starting there on December 27th and moving through, wow, December 31st. So that means we're looking at more than 1/3 of all annual giving, not just giving season, all annual giving occurs the last 3 months of the year. And most of all of that happens in the last couple of days of the year. So something like 10 to 11%, it usually happens in the last day of the year. So that's right. Most giving happens in the last 48 hours of the year. So that brings us to our next question. You know, we do get this question a lot, especially because those last few days of the year really are those biggest days. Is Giving Tuesday still relevant? And my short answer is yes. Yes, yes, yes. Although it isn't the biggest fundraising day of the year, all annual giving really is important, and participating in Giving Tuesday is still recommended. For one, it's an easy way to join the conversation. Again, rest assured that hashtag Giving Tuesday will be trending on November 29th and possibly even a couple days before and maybe even after. So make sure you're using that hashtag so that you get in that algorithm and get involved. Mm-hmm. That will help get your post seen, because so many donors around the world know about Giving Tuesday and may feel compelled to give on this day in particular. You want to be sure you are participating. So while those donors who know you and your mission may give to you on this day without extra prompting, Those who don't know about you definitely won't give if they don't see your message, especially if they're getting that message from everybody else. We still don't suggest putting all of your eggs in that Giving Tuesday basket. But remember, those last 3 days of the year in particular are critical, but it's definitely worth your time to participate. And I absolutely love this next question. So when should we begin our Giving Tuesday communications? Well, if you haven't already started, you can start right now today. So start by posting your impact stories so that your followers know about your message and your mission before the big day of giving. You can also post a few thank yous to show your gratitude for all your supporters do, your volunteers, your donors, for your organization throughout the year. Consider posting a save the date for Giving Tuesday now so that your followers know it's coming up, especially if you're doing something special that day. So for example, we've seen gifts being given out. So if you donate on Giving Tuesday, you might get a scarf if you donate in these 24 hours. Or if you donate, there's also matching gifts. If you have a donor that's willing to do a matching gift for these 24 hours, even if it's only up to, $5,000, $10,000, that's something that you can really talk about and you should promote in advance. So make sure you let them know this is happening. And the same can be said for emails. Again, send at least one save the date email. Get your supporters excited to participate and include any of those matching donation details, those prizes, your goals for the year, etc. And also consider sending a general stewardship email. So by this, just a general one to say thank you. Here in the US, a great day to do that is the day right before Thanksgiving. Not a lot of work emails are coming through. A lot of people are kind of slowing down for those 2 days off we have on, a lot of people have on that Thursday and Friday. So it's a great choice, but send one that focuses on thanking your donors instead of making an ask. And outside of social and email, I want to encourage you to do legwork now. Have one-on-one conversations with your most loyal supporters and ask if they will engage again this year. And I don't mean just through giving. Ask them to talk to a friend about your message that they know, someone they know hasn't donated to your organization before, or even just something as simple as sharing your post on their social media page. And then also make sure you're continuing your outreach through Giving Tuesday and beyond. So here are a couple of quick tips that might be helpful, because I know that I just laid a lot on you and this sounds like a lot of posts to do. It's really helpful when you use templates provided by Giving Tuesday to create your social media posts. You can also download and customize the Giving Tuesday artwork for email and social media. This is all available for free on the Giving Tuesday website, and we're going to share a link to our blog that features that a little bit later. It'll be here, we promise. And also make sure you're using free or affordable tools for scheduling posts and emails. That way you can get started now on scheduling out all of your posts for Giving Tuesday and beyond, and you're not scrambling the day of. And to give you a little bit of a visual on, oh, Jenna, on the social media post that we're talking about, I'm going to go over these pretty quickly, but here you see a save the date for social media. It's with the sleeping puppy, and it says only 5 more sleeps until #Giving Tuesday. And that's something else I really want to mention. Make sure you're using that hashtag again. And you'll see here we have an #AAC Love, because our organization's name is Animal Adoption Center, or AAC. And then we also added a fun little #Puppy Love to join that conversation as well. So that's something else I want to point out. And you'll see this #AAC Love as well as Giving Tuesday on these posts. Make sure you're coming up with a creative campaign hashtag for Giving Tuesday that you can also use throughout your whole giving season campaign. This one doesn't have to be just Giving Tuesday. Because that really ties all of your posts together and, again, helps you join that conversation. So, for example, in the stewardship social media example, we have my favorite, this is my personal favorite picture we've used. It's Rocco, who is extra grateful for you and for the support and love you have shown him and his pals at the shelter this year. Happy Thanksgiving from all of your furry and human friends at Animal Adoption Center. And again, we used hashtag AAC Love, but also some other trending hashtags that day. It'll be Thanksgiving and Happy Thanksgiving. So that's just another example of how you can work in some impact and thank yous. Not everything has to be a direct ask. And here is just showing a set of Giving Tuesday social media examples. So what I've really seen success from in my experience and watching other organizations as well is you really have two options. So one, pick a main theme. So whether that's that AAC Love, standing tall if you're helping children to stand up using standing wheelchairs, or finding medical care, something like that, and find several stories that follow that same theme, and you can share those throughout the day. Or you can do what we did here in this example, and you can break a story here. It's about Peanut, the Labrador, and to post about the day throughout the day to keep people coming back, staying engaged. And it also it tells the story of your organization and really gives people a look into everything that you do. Just make sure that you are including those call to actions. You'll see here there are several hashtags. We always use that Giving Tuesday hashtag and that AAC Love hashtag. Here in the first post talks about poor Peanut first arrived at Animal Adoption Center in urgent need of medical care that cost $5,000 thanks to our supporters. She quickly received it. So will you give online at aac.org today, Giving Tuesday, to help more animals like Peanut? All gifts will be matched by a caring company to reach our goal of $20,000. And so that's the first post of the day. And then the next two go through Peanut's story. The second one is her playing with her friends, Rory and Oreo, showing an outdoor area that supporters donated. And then also the last one is actually of Peanut's. She's at home with her family, so showing the positive end to what supporters can do. So again, breaking that story up throughout the day. In addition to posts like these, use Twitter and then also Instagram and Facebook stories to share updates. So if you have a goal, let people know, hey, we've raised $5,000 of our $20,000 goal. Can you help us get further? Things like that, and share thank yous to major donors and things like that throughout the day. And then I'm not going to read through these word for word because that'll take a long time. But here we have, hopefully whenever you get, so I recommend whenever you get the recording, you can pause it and read through them, because these are examples of some emails that you can send. So we have our stewardship or gratitude email. Again, this one could go out the day before Thanksgiving here in the US, or if you're in another country, just a general thank you. A thank you for before the holidays, things like that. Here, Pumpkin the Kitten is joining our executive director to say just a happy Thanksgiving. These can be fairly short. They don't need to be long, and they're one of the few that don't need a call to action. And then this save the date email example here, similar to our stories. So you'll see, and I want to point out here, Peanut is here again. And if you've been on one of these calls with me before, you've seen syndicating your content is best. Use Peanut's image, use other images, use that story, break it up, change it up for your audiences, pull those golden nuggets, that golden thread message, and make sure that your audience is seeing it in more ways than one. So here you'll see that we are we're teasing the match. We're encouraging people to save the date for Giving Tuesday. But the PS actually says, don't want to wait until Giving Tuesday. You can give here at any time, so that if someone does want to give right away, they don't have to wait until Giving Tuesday. They can give that day. And finally, our last example is this one is one that can be sent from Giving Tuesday itself. So the subject line, and that's something else you should really be focusing on your emails. It says, today only, your gift will go twice as far. So use something that's going to capture attention. I actually have seen that putting Giving Tuesday in the subject line on Giving Tuesday doesn't always help, because everyone's doing that. So maybe try to come up with something else like this: today only, your gift will be matched, things like that. Something with urgency that's going to get them to open that email. And again, you'll see that we're still using Peanut's story. Here we're wrapping it up, showing that great image with those cute little sunglasses, because Peanut is so happy to be with her family. And again, reiterating how you can give to have your gift matched, but also adding in a second call to action here to ask people to share their story with a link over to those social media, so they can share those posts that you work so hard on. So that way, if people want to give, they can give and share, or maybe if they can't give right now, they might give back on Giving Tuesday by sharing your posts.
I love these examples. How do I raise money? We are so excited that here at Donorbox, a lot of nonprofit startups are using our tools and our technology to begin their fundraising journey. So naturally, we see this question pretty often. So we could get into so much detail here, and we could really have webinar after webinar after webinar just dedicated to this one question. But we tried our best to break it down into 3 top tips geared towards the giving season and Giving Tuesday, especially if you are a nonprofit startup. So my number 1 tip for you is, of course, if you are just starting out, you've never fundraised before, the best place to start is with a Donorbox hosted fundraising page. So I always suggest this because our Donorbox hosted fundraising pages are especially great if you don't have a website yet. Maybe you don't plan on having one, or you're working on one right now, because you can get these up and running in 15 minutes or less. So it's a really simple template with a background image and your logo that you can customize with your storytelling. As you can see here, you can add in images and videos and have that donation form embedded right there on your fundraising page. So this makes for a really compelling giving experience. And in order to fundraise, you have to have a place for someone to go to donate their money. So that is my number 1 tip if you're a nonprofit startup. And then once you have your fundraising page, that means that you need to promote it so folks know that you're fundraising, right? And we say here, work from the inside out. So what that means is start with your friends and family. They're the ones who give you all their time, more freely, which means they may also be willing to give you some of their money as well. But they are your most valuable supporters. So ask them to donate or share your fundraising page with others to help spread the word. And that is a really great place to start. Maybe you don't have your board put together yet. Maybe you don't have those volunteers, but everybody has at least a little bit of a smaller community. You can start with those folks and ask them to spread the word. And that's a really good place to start. And then Kara, I'll pass this one over to you. Tip number 3.
Yeah, tip number 3, and I love this, how do I raise money question. Another great one on Giving Tuesday is a matching challenge. And the image you see on the screen is a Donorbox organization. This is their matching challenge on Giving Tuesday. And I just thought they highlighted it so incredibly well. If you have current donors, see if one will step up with a matching challenge for the day, maybe one of your major donors, and that is their year-end contribution. Or if you have a group that would want to pool their contributions to issue a matching challenge. I saw Kayla over here in the comments. Thank you, Kayla. Consider asking your board to match up to a certain amount. And that works very, very well. There's an organization, a local organization, their board collectively combined $100,000, and there's a $100,000 match. So as the rest of that money gets raised, they'll pay in their increments towards that overall $200,000 year-end fundraising goal. And then there was another question up here. I can't find it now. Is it too late to try to gain a partnership where a business will match gifts? It most likely, I don't know. You'll never know until you ask. But I do encourage you to find local businesses that have values that align with your organization. Those are going to be your best fit, and also have an introductory conversation. So cold calls can work sometimes, but sometimes if you already have an existing relationship or an introduction, somebody, one of your supporters can make that introduction for you. It'll go a little better. But absolutely not. You'll never know unless you ask. And you might want to just start asking now. You might find someone who's extra generous, especially this time of year. So I encourage you, if you want to learn more and you really, truly are new to fundraising, we got that question a lot. So I think many of you might be. We want to support you. And I encourage you to email us at academy@donorbox.org. It goes directly to us, and let us know what you might need support learning or wanting to know about fundraising, because as we are creating courses and content, we want to be able to speak into what it is that you want to know. But we also may have some great blog posts or videos or webinars that can point you in the right direction. So we'll be happy to curate that content for you. So just reach out to us on email.
Absolutely. Thanks for that, Kara. All right, this may have been my favorite question in all the questions we got. I get so pumped up about getting your board involved. So this question came from Jocelyn from Herbalists Without Borders. So this is a really great question because your board should be involved in all of your big fundraising campaigns, and that includes Giving Tuesday. So where do you start? Well, first you need to make sure that they know about Giving Tuesday, right? We learned even from our poll that not many folks have been involved with it before. So make sure that you're sending out a quick email letting them know what Giving Tuesday is, why it's important to your organization, and what your Giving Tuesday campaign will entail, what your plans are, or bring it up during your next board meeting if you're having one soon. You don't want to wait on educating your board on this, especially because it's coming up in just a couple of weeks. And then next, you want to make sure they understand what kind of fundraising efforts would be the most helpful for your organization. So again, be sure to do this as soon as you can so that they have time to ask questions about your initiatives, prepare, and provide their own ideas to help you out with that. So some good initiatives to consider asking your board to get involved in, and there are a lot, actually. There's so many things that your board can do and should do. My number one suggestion, and I saw this in the chat too, so this is awesome, is launch a peer-to-peer fundraiser. So if you are a Donorbox user, or even if you're using another platform, you can create a peer-to-peer campaign and invite your board members to create their own fundraising page to share with their personal networks. So it's really easy with Donorbox to create that peer-to-peer campaign just as easily as it is to create a crowdfunding page or a general Donorbox hosted fundraising page. And you can invite your board. You can also invite your, most active supporters, so your volunteers, your awesome donors to fundraise on behalf of your organization, and they share that link with their friends and family. So they are fundraising for you. Not only does this help with your capacity as a team at your end when you're probably all so busy to begin with, but this really helps get the word out, and it keeps them involved, which just adds to that loyalty that they have to your organization. So my number one suggestion is peer-to-peer. Next, if you don't have the capacity to launch a peer-to-peer campaign, because it does take a little bit of legwork ahead of time, launch a crowdfunding page. This is another great way to spread the word, and your board can easily share that page through their social media and encourage others to donate or subscribe to your crowdfunding as well. So that's something pretty simple, and I think many of you are using crowdfunding for Giving Tuesday. We saw a lot of crowdfunding pages for Giving Tuesday last year. So that is a great way. If someone asks, how can I help? Share this page, subscribe. But with this, you should also ask your board to each commit to making their year-end gift during your Giving Tuesday campaign and display it with a comment on your donor wall. So again, every fundraising page with Donorbox, you can enable that donor wall. So you can see comments from your donors, how much they've donated. And that's a really great way to show potential donors who are looking at your fundraising page that you are a trusted organization and people are enthusiastically giving to your cause, but they're also going to see that goal meter grow and create that kind of sense of excitement and encouragement. So ask your board to make their gifts now. But Alternatively, and we've seen a few comments in the chat, and Kara mentioned this as well, you could ask your board to pool their donations to create a matching gift incentive for your potential donors. So whatever that is, your board will match up to 20,000, 50,000, whatever it is that's pulled together. That is another way to go about it as well. And this creates kind of some excitement for your potential donors, right? I know I get really excited when I see matching gift campaigns. So that's something that you can do pretty easily if they're going to donate their dollars anyways. But at the very least, if this sounds like a lot of work, that's okay. At the very least, you should ask your board to engage on social media by leaving comments on all the posts that you're making, liking everything that you are posting, and resharing everything that your organization is posting. So again, this really helps with that reach. You're going to see that Giving Tuesday hashtag, the algorithm is going to like you, but you're also going to see that unique hashtag that you've come up with for your organization. And this really just expands where your posts are going. And then also ask if they'll include your fundraising page link or QR code for your Giving Tuesday campaign, or your text to give number for your Giving Tuesday campaign, and their email signature, their personal one and their one at work, if they can get away with it, for the duration of your campaign. Again, they should be fundraising for you. Even if it's passive fundraising, that's fine. But there are a lot of options here. And you need to ask them to do it.
Absolutely. And give them, break down the instructions very clearly to say, you know, I just lay out all the expectations and when you're planning to communicate so that they can know when to expect that and can engage.
Absolutely.
So always err on the side of more communication.
More communication. Kara with a K is like, yes, more communication. I love it.
All of the communication all the time.
All right, Kara.
Yeah. I would say, speaking of communication, I love the communication in the chat. We have everyone's kind of answering each other's questions, which this is an amazing community. So this is brilliant. And keep those questions coming. We will spend quite a bit of time here answering some questions shortly. This is a question we receive and I've heard for years. There is a lot of noise on Giving Tuesday. How can our small nonprofits stand out? And last year, I was a little heartbroken on Giving Tuesday when I saw one of my very favorite organizations start out the day very strong. They posted all day long, and they started out really peppy on Giving Tuesday. But as the day progressed, their fundraising results just weren't tracking very long. And by the end of the day, they weren't where they hoped that they would be. And there was this little post that was like, I know there are a lot of really great organizations out there, but if you could just spare a little and support us, it broke my heart. And I hated seeing that. And what could have been different for them? Nonprofits always should be looking to share what makes them great, what makes them unique, and build that awareness, especially those who struggle with being heard. A lot of times the advice for the day is for the nonprofit to stand out from the crowd and just amplify the voice more. And I'll use the school lunchroom as an example here. And that I don't recommend standing out and amplifying your voice. And just this metaphor here, so the school lunchroom, I would go sit with my kids in the elementary lunchroom sometimes and imagine two people having a conversation and another conversation takes place over that one. And so the first one speaks louder to be heard and so on, and it magnifies, right? If you've been in a school lunchroom as an adult, it can just wreck your eardrums. And I kind of imagine nonprofits shouting over each other, especially on Giving Tuesday. It's not audibly as loud, but it's almost like they have megaphones, and it can really have that same effect. So how would I recommend alleviating this? Well, much like I'd like to pull someone aside and have that conversation in the hallway outside of the lunchroom if I'm with them in person, I want to make my conversations on Giving Tuesday as intentional as possible, as personal as possible, and as meaningful as possible. And that could really be refreshing. So spend some time before Giving Tuesday. You got 2 weeks. Spend time before curating that conversation. Go through your donor lists and know who are your most active supporters, And if you know that there's someone who supported you about this time of year every year, reach out to them and say thank you. Let them know that you've noticed, and goodness, supporting you on Giving Tuesday or year end would sure be really great. And then, you know, curate your communication to show impact. I saw somebody mentioned that the San Diego Zoo already sent an email out saying, hey, you know, because you supported, this amazing thing happened. Absolutely do that. You can write that email this afternoon and send it and show some of your impact. Get in the forefront of your supporters' minds now. And so that on Giving Tuesday, that conversation is relevant to them. Also personalize the email communication. If they've supported one program over a number of years and maybe not other ones, speak to that one program when you talk to them. So prep your existing network, and then ask your most generous supporters to share your posts on social media, like Jenna mentioned with the board. Forward your emails to a friend, and use Giving Tuesday as an opportunity to introduce people to your organization. So that is my recommendation on standing out. Just be intentional as possible. Pick up the phone on Giving Tuesday. That might make things a little more actionable than the inbox too. And then we got this question too. Our friend Lisa from Miles Message Incorporated approached us with a unique question and situation. And she wrote this: our organization is right in the middle of where Hurricane Ian hit and the devastation that followed. It doesn't feel right to ask for support this year when so many in our community are hurting. What are your suggestions in a situation such as this? And that's hard. That's very difficult. And when natural disaster strikes, it can really be hard to know how to respond. The first thing to remember is that your organization is still needed. I'm not sure, Lisa, what exactly your organization does and how broad your reach is. People are still in need of support, and you may have people outside of that hurricane zone that are eager to step up and support you. I remember writing a direct mail letter right when Hurricane Katrina hit in the mid-2000s, and we had to very quickly pivot what we did. It was a national organization, and so we pulled out zip codes from the mailer, made sure we didn't mail to zip codes in that region. In the Southeast, and we did change some of our content that followed up that mailer to speak to that. So just very sensitive. Use your gut feeling. If you don't feel right asking for donations, give people an alternative way that they can support you. You can still ask for volunteers or supplies or something else, but those are some welcome ways to engage people as well. And then consider reaching out to supporters beyond your immediate area. There may be many who want to give the help you need during this time. So, if you are a regional organization, who outside of your geography might be willing to step in? If you're a national organization, you can talk to your supporters in other areas about, the programs and services that you deliver. And if you are in need of more disaster relief fundraising tips, we have a great blog post. The Donorbox blog, if you haven't visited, is a great resource. And it talks more about the tools and best practices you can use when fundraising for crisis situations. I hope that answered Lisa's question. It can be delicate. Use your gut feeling. Go to your board. Go to your most loyal supporters. And run it past them as well. Say, is this something that you would be willing to support at this time, or should we table it for another time? As we move a little farther away into year end, I think you'll find that people are generous to your organization and to hurricane relief both right now. All right. Okay. And then we talk, first of all, thank you all for submitting your questions prior. This was really very helpful. This is a great question. What's the best way to encourage past donors to give again before the end of the year? And this is a great question because so many times the conversation is around, how do I get new donors? New donors are certainly important, but this question hits on a very important point. Previous donors are certainly more warm. They're more warmed up to your organization than a non-donor who's coming in cold. Repeat donors likely know about your organization and all the good that you're doing in this world. And it costs less to renew a donor than to acquire a new donor. So if you're writing, if you're making phone calls, if you're emailing, reach out to your past donors first. You'll want to use personalization if you can. You can be sure to use their first name or mention their giving history. Something like, when you gave $100 last year, it did this. We had one organization we talked to yesterday. They mentioned the date of the first gift that they received from a supporter in a recent mailing, and that performed really well for them. And use that in a conversation. Would you consider renewing or increasing your donation this year? There's a lot of research that shows personalized solicitations improve response rates significantly. So don't hesitate to personalize those. And then we'll move in. Jenna has some tips here that should help you keep this year's year-end donors in the loop and ready to jump up and support you again next year.
You bet. Thank you, Kara. All right. So finally, the last question that we received was, what do I do after Giving Tuesday? I think that we're all really excited and in worker mode to do all the prep before. You've been doing all the prep with us since August, possibly. And then you're going to be in the thick of it and it's going to be over like that. So what do you do after Giving Tuesday? It can be really easy to forget about the donor supporter aftercare, like I said, especially when you're really busy. However, this step is essential for maintaining good reputation and a great relationship with your donors and your supporters. So after Giving Tuesday, the first thing to do is to say thank you. So send an email to those who gave and also post on social media and tag your donors if you can. You can also make phone calls to your major donors or send handwritten thank you notes. You can have your whole development staff sign those cards and send them out. Whatever ways to show gratitude work for your organization, make sure you do that and make sure you do it pretty quickly after. You should be showing gratitude immediately after, right? You should also post those thank you graphics everywhere on your social media the day after, on your blog, on your crowdfunding page updates. Post those everywhere. Again, we want to see gratitude overload, just like a bomb of gratitude. And ask those super fans, so those super donors, those volunteers, to people who are really rallying behind this campaign, to become ambassadors for next year. So say, hey, you were really behind us. You were really great. Will you be on our team for next year's Giving Tuesday? We would be honored to have you and your support. And then finally, officially flip the campaign into a year-end campaign. So as Kara said, those giving days are only going to ramp up in those last 48 hours of the year. Do not stop here. You've got this final push. Year-end is a marathon, right? So turn that campaign into a year-end campaign. So remember that giving season still lasts all the way to the end of the year. Continue posting, continue emailing, continue calling to bring in more gifts. So continue reaching out to those who didn't give yet. So here are a few more tips for you. And I know this is kind of speedy tips, but continually remove donors from your campaign mailing list. So if you're using MailChimp or whatever that may be, remove those people from your mailing list and your email list for solicitations as they donate. Because yes, people may give repeat donations, but you don't want to be spamming them with those asks. So make sure that you're keeping your list tidy so that you are sending the right emails to the right people with the right asks. So instead, those people who are you're moving off of your mailing list, stay in touch with them by sharing stories of impact and how their donations will be put to use. So again, Kara had some great examples of this. $5,000 helped, was it Peanut? Whatever the dog's name was, helped accomplish this. This is what the impact that you created with your generous gift. Use the word you so much in these communications. And remember, do not make another ask in your thank you letter. There will be plenty of time for that next ask letter, but the purpose of these messages is to celebrate what your supporters have already done for you. So again, showing that impact, showing gratitude is really, really important. And then my last tip for this, after Giving Tuesday, do not forget about your team. Some of you may be a team of one, so self-care is essential here, but you may have a team of people on your development team. They worked hard, probably working long hours for the campaign to be a success. So celebrate your achievements with a cake or other goodies, a pizza party, a potluck, whatever that may be, and get your team together to really appreciate them and motivate them to get through the year end as well. So that's what I suggest. So as promised, we give you a practical action during each one of these sessions. So the practical action for this week is simple. If you haven't already, you should start the Giving Tuesday conversation today. So ramp up those gratitude and impact posts this week that coincide with your giving season campaign messaging. So this ensures that donors are aware of your mission and that they already feel the gratitude, right? And then sprinkle in a couple of save the date posts as well on your social media. Let your donors know that you're planning to participate in Giving Tuesday and use that hashtag so that the algorithm starts picking you up. We also encourage you to take a look at our complete Giving Tuesday toolkit that we promised we'd share with you. And I'll drop the link in just a second. So it's got a whole bunch of Giving Tuesday tidbits, including where you can find those Giving Tuesday graphics that you might want to include in your post. So I'm going to go ahead and launch the link. Now, there it is. All right. And one last tip for you. For bite-sized nonprofit tips, tricks, and tactics, be sure to check out the Nonprofit Podcast powered by Donorbox. So this is a short weekly episode packed with ideas that you can apply to up your fundraising game. So every single week, we've got a great episode for you that's really easy to listen to that will really help you in your year-end planning. You can find it on Apple, Google Podcasts, Spotify, and you can also subscribe to it on YouTube so that you do not miss an episode. I'll go ahead and launch the link for our Apple podcast page. But again, you can type the Nonprofit Podcast into Google and find us on all of those other platforms as well. All right, you guys, we'll go ahead and open the floor to tackle as many questions as we can until the top of the hour. Are we ready?
Let's do it. We'll go rapid fire on these questions.
Yes. And now, before we begin, if we do not get to your question today, do not fret. You can reach out to support@donorbox.org for any technical Donorbox tool questions you may have. Their response time is amazing. They're available every Monday through Friday, and they're also active on the weekend. So if you've got any questions about setting up your campaign, making sure that things are in the right place, anything techie, please reach out to support@donorbox.org. And you can always reach out to us at academy@donorbox.org for any fundraising questions. All right, let's dive in. I think we've got a lot in the queue.
We do, and we have some common themes. So we have some communication questions here, Kara. We have some general explaining crowdfunding versus peer-to-peer,
yes,
and then some fundraising questions. So Jenna, do you want to go ahead and tackle can you explain a little bit about what peer-to-peer is versus crowdfunding and how to do that in Donorbox? And do you cover that
Absolutely.
in the demo?
Yes. And I saw those questions in the chat. So this should be pretty speedy. So with Donorbox, you have access to our peer-to-peer and our crowdfunding tools. That is the great thing, is we offer many fundraising methods for you. So peer-to-peer and crowdfunding are a bit different, and they can often be confused with each other. I'll start with crowdfunding because it's pretty straightforward. And while I'm doing this, if I can ask one of my Karas to drop in the nonprofit blog, just a general search for crowdfunding. That way everybody can see all of our crowdfunding posts. That would be great. You know what I mean? So crowdfunding with Donorbox is basically like our Donorbox hosted fundraising pages. So every campaign comes with a hosted fundraising page. And to turn on that crowdfunding, all you have to do is toggle on the crowdfunding option. And from there, you'll be prompted to add in your social media links. So Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, whatever that may be. Excellent. Thank you for downloading that or uploading that. So what's great about crowdfunding is this is a campaign that you're running on your own. You can have people subscribe for updates. So they're visiting your page, but you can also kind of create it as your own campaign blog. So you can post updates on your crowdfunding page, almost like blog entries, and people who have subscribed to that will receive those updates. So you can keep them in the loop. I highly suggest crowdfunding for Giving Tuesday because it can be your year-end campaign, with Giving Tuesday taking the stage for the day. And then it's very easy to move it back into that year-end theme, right? So you can do that with your crowdfunding posts. So the great thing about crowdfunding is the shareability. One click, folks can share it on their social media and with their friends and family. You have a donor wall, which is basically like a comment wall you would see on Facebook or something else saying, Joanne donated $500,000 to this organization, and she said, thank you for all the great work that you're doing. So you see a whole donor wall there, a goal meter. So if you set a goal of $50,000, you can see where you are. Your donors can see where you are. And of course, you've got that Donorbox donation form right there within the form. So crowdfunding is really great. We just launched a bunch of resources there. Now, peer-to-peer is a little bit different, where you launch a page and then you invite your supporters to create their own fundraising pages. So they get to put their own personal stamp to these pages. They can talk about why your cause matters to them, how they're connected to it, what their own goal is for fundraising. So what we call a parent campaign and then child campaign. So you are the parent campaign and your supporters will create their own campaigns to share with their networks with that personal touch. So both are great options. It just depends on what suits your organization. So I hope that clarifies it. We've launched a handout here that talks about the difference between crowdfunding and peer-to-peer. Thank you both, and a blog. So I'll go ahead and pass the baton over to Kara. I do believe we can pull out some communication questions.
Yeah. Kara, first of all, how would you share your link to give in Instagram?
Sure. So I'm really sorry if I butcher this name. It's beautiful. Anissa took the answer right out of my mouth, but definitely create a, you can add a link in bio now to your Instagram profile. Previously, I've used later.com is a great free tool, or also they have some affordable rates if you need a nonprofit scheduler, and they, oh, thank you, Anissa. And they have a link in bio tool built into there. So what you do is you just create, yes, Jennings later is fantastic. And you just create that when they click on your bio, that link in bio, it pulls up all of your social posts that are linked, and then they just click there and it'll take them directly to, and Linktree, that's also a great one. Thank you. That takes you to your fundraising page, and you can also create a shorter URL and put that into the copy of your content as well. But yeah, that's the long story short, link in bio.
Excellent. Thank you for that. Now I see a question for you. Let's see if I can find it again. We have a lot in the queue. Someone asked, we have a letter that is about 2.5 pages long. Is that too long? Is it long enough? And then I saw another person ask, I heard that I shouldn't ever include pictures in letters. Is that true or is it not? So could you speak to both of these?
Do you want me to grab it? I can.
Yeah, sure.
Honestly, data shows that 2.5 pages is just fine. And so I think it's personal preference there. I haven't ever sent one quite that long. 2 pages has been about as long as I've sent. But yeah, research shows up to 4 pages gets responses. So
I would just add to that, Kara, just make sure that if you look in the emails examples that we shared here, you'll see there's use of bold and underlining. I would just make sure that you're still using that to move people through your letter. So if there are people that don't want to read 2.5 pages, they can still get the story by bolding those really important pieces, and also include that PS afterwards. So again, if someone is still interested in your organization but doesn't want to read all 2.5 pages, they'll still get your gist of the letter.
Yeah, absolutely. And then the second part of that question was, emails with pictures.
Yes.
Yeah, you could do both. I think if it's coming from the executive director, actually, if you just send it from a mail merge from that person's email account, that performs really well, and it looks very person-to-person communication. If it's coming from the organization, I think the examples that Kara showed, I know Jennings mentioned that she likes to include a photo, just one, in her email to kind of tell that story visually, I think is perfectly appropriate in an email. I do often discourage using photos and images in a direct mail piece if possible. It just detracts from the point of the letter usually. So keep your images to social media and email.
And video can be really great, really powerful
absolutely.
in both social media and email as well too.
Yep.
Siobhan asks, there's a couple of questions about frequency of communications. Yes. What's the recommended frequency these last couple of weeks?
So social media, every day, social media, if you can. I'm not saying post a save the date for Giving Tuesday, but those impact posts, those gratitude posts, even some fun posts in there, like a happy Thanksgiving or a selfie Sunday or TGIF. I always recommend, if your organization has the capacity, to aim for every day, especially this time of year. However, if your organization does not have the capacity for that, that is totally fine, especially if you're a team of one. Just pick I recommend a consistency. So pick, 3 days. If you can post 3 days a week, that's great. Just don't post 3 times in one day and then forget the rest of the week. Do 3 days. Email, I would say, what do you think, Kara? Once a week at this point?
Yeah, I think once a week would be fine from now to the end of the year. At minimum 5 between now and the end of the year.
Yeah.
With not forgetting that last week of the year for sure.
Yeah. So if you're thinking between now, so send one this week, send one for Thanksgiving. If you're in the US, send that one on Giving Tuesday. And sometimes I break that rule, like a week of Giving Tuesday. I used to send a pre-Giving Tuesday that on Monday, say, remember it's tomorrow, and Tuesday, Giving Tuesday, send it's today. And then the day after Giving Tuesday, send that thank you email as well. But so you can break that rule a little bit around then, but yeah, at least once a week, I would say.
Kara, there was another question that kind of went along with timing. Here's one from Florence. We sent a save the date letter. When should a second letter and a third letter be sent?
Wow, you are on it with the letters. And I'm assuming by letter you mean direct mail. Florence, correct me if you're still here, correct me if I'm wrong. You mean mailed letters. I would say try to get out that second letter as soon as possible. And then usually the third, if you are going for a 3, good for you. Send it, I would say, with about, what do you think, Kara, 2 weeks left in the year?
Yeah, you want it to, with timing for US mail, you want to make sure that it hits mailboxes before the end of the year. So allow almost 2 weeks for it to be, by the time it leaves to the time it arrives in mailboxes, especially with holiday cards and the demand on the postal service.
Yeah. So yeah, what I meant was hitting mailboxes with about 1 to 2 weeks left in the year, not sending it. My bad.
Guillermo, you asked if you have to open a nonprofit organization in the U.S. to receive donations, or is it enough having your nonprofit in Peru? No, you absolutely do not need to open a nonprofit organization, but you cannot issue tax deductions, or a donor cannot claim a tax deduction on a gift that they make to your organization. A U.S. donor cannot claim a tax deduction on their U.S. taxes if they donate to an organization in Peru, but you can definitely ask. Now, opens up a whole new door. If you're fundraising in the United States, some states have parameters around if you need to file some paperwork before you solicit in certain states. So check within those regulations of each state as you go deeper into fundraising across the United States. Here's Elaine had a really good question. If you don't have an incentive like the matching donations, what do you recommend to make your offer more potent? There are a few things that you can use that are included in your Donorbox campaigns. The goal meter is one way to, it's a visible thermometer of sorts that shows your progress to goal. You can encourage participation through social media. So, you know, we're looking for 10 donors in the next hour to give $10 a month or something along those lines. That goal meter can show dollar for dollar progress. I think you can use countdown calendars, countdown clocks, and use a lot of just those time sensitive fundraising techniques to do that. And people have people advocate on your behalf to share those messages. And
something to add there too is if you don't have your board or someone else matching those donations, something that you can do is add on company gift matching with double the donation. That is an add-on right there in your Donorbox suite. It's $40 a month. You can turn on add-ons and off at any time, and we prorate for partial months. So you can turn on double the donation through the end of the year, and folks can search for that company to match their donation. There are thousands in this database. If you're not using this, you're leaving money on the table. And that serves, again, as instant gratification for your donors, knowing that, say, AAA of Missouri or whatever that may be will match their donation. So I highly suggest looking into that as well.
I'm seeing a lot about slogans. So
good call to action.
Yeah, what call to action? So I recommend, especially with Giving Tuesday and end of year, I really like, so for one, especially Giving Tuesday, I like urgency. So if you can have a goal, help us meet this goal by the end of today so that XYZ can happen for our members. I know we see one of our lovely Academy students is working on finding, building latrines for villages. And so she can use that. So help us raise X amount of dollars so that we can purchase another latrine. So something like that, that you can have that concrete item or thing like that in that urgency. Or also something that Jenna mentioned was that it's the season of giving. So this time of year, I really like to look at that. Give someone the gift of a donation or of supporting XYZ in your organization, things like that. So that's something that's really powerful this time of year, is actually giving donations either in honor of, which you can do with Donorbox. We have tribute options, so you can allow people to give in honor or memory of someone. That's a simple switch on your Donorbox campaign. Or even just give a child the gift of medical care, give a dog a gift of a forever home, something like that messaging. I really like this time of year. Did you guys have anything to add to that?
No, it kind of goes into Anissa's question here of asking donors to support one project or multiple projects. I think asking support for one project and then re-emphasizing that story to support that one project, almost like Kara showed in the examples of the one dog. Yeah. I think that could be very effective this time of year. When you talk about 2 or 3 or 4 different pillars of your organization that can get very confusing. You might want to even do, when you think about fundraising throughout the year, talk about one program at one time of year, another program another time of year, and introduce them at different times of year so that you can have a whole communications campaign around one program.
Or if you feel like multiple programs need a little help, do what Kara was talking about and segment your donors. I wouldn't promote them all via social media or to a general audience, but if you have donor history and you know that they donated to a specific campaign more than others, I would say you could, don't you think, Kara, promote it just to that specific audience this time of year? If you think that they would be more likely to donate to that program, you can do it via segmented and targeted emails. But again, yeah, I agree with Kara. For those general communications, definitely pick, more one program to focus on.
Yeah.
Wonderful.
Anna, I know you asked, what do you recommend if this is your first time asking for donations? Keep it simple, keep it straightforward, keep it clear, and make sure that people understand why you do what you do. What makes your organization different from the organization similar to yours down the road? What is your unique approach to handling that? And really advocate that, but personalize that outreach. So person to person as much as possible.
You bet. Well, I think that wraps up our special hour-long and 15-minute session. I want to thank you for these fantastic questions. I hope that we answered them for you. If you think of anything, if you need support, again, any technology-based Donorbox tools, reach out to us at support@donorbox.org. And any fundraising questions, you can reach out to us at academy@donorbox.org. Again, thank you all for all that you do to serve others. And thank you, Kara and Kara, for being here today.
Thanks, Jenna.
Thanks for having us. And thank you all for joining us. It was so great.